Hey everybody, this is part 2. So in the first one, you guys saw us rip apart a palette and make a sign. So this is what I did with it. I took my JRV stencils that I just got, which I was super excited about. JRV is Jamie Ray Vintage. I really like her stencils because they're a lot thicker. So it's it's a lot more easy to do raised stenciling, which is what we are going to do here. So I took the stencils and I took some painter's tape and then just taped them in place because I do not want them to move when I'm applying the spackle. You see me looking back and forth a lot. I'm just trying to make sure they're all even across. And once I have them taped down, I'm going to take my spackle that I got there. This is the really cool stuff that I used on that other wood sign I did, where it goes on pink and then it will dry white. So I'm just applying it liberally over the stencil. So it's going to get down in all those little spaces where the stencil isn't. And I'm gently going to kind of scrape back. The tutorial I did before when I did the wooden sign, I dragged it and scraped almost all of it off the stencil in that video. This one I'm not doing that. So as you can see, I'm pulling it up right now and there's a lot of pink still on that stencil. But I wanted it a lot more raised than it was on the other project that I did. And there were 3 stencils that came in this kit too. So you have the deer skull with the flowers and then also 2 arrows. And then I'm just kind of scraping it off around the stencil, kind of on the edges. And then I'll pull those up. You can see how it's kind of raised off the board. And there we have it. So we'll let that dry. Once again, it will turn white when it's fully dry. Ta-da! When you do use the stencils, especially with spackle, you want to make sure that you do scrape off all of the excess spackle. You want to keep those, oh my goodness, I can't find my words. You want to keep your stencils clean. That's where I was going with that. You don't want it to dry on there because obviously I will use these for other projects and I want to make sure that they're perfectly clean for those projects. So I'll scrape up off all the excess like I did here. And then I took the garden hose and I just went ahead and sprayed all of that off. Make sure all that spackle is gone. Beautiful and clean. And here's just some still shots of how the spackle looks on there. So there it's wet because it's pink, and here is a picture of it when it's dry. So you could seal this just as is. It is beautiful. You could seal it and hang it, but we are going to take this a step further. I wanted to add some color. So usually I use DIY paints. I did get quite a deal on some Dixie Belle, so I thought I'd try some of those paints out. So I just took random colors that I had and then just kind of went over all the areas that I wanted the color. I am not being careful with the paint either. It is kind of sloppy, and that's okay. I just wanted to make sure all those high points of that spackle was covered in paint. And then the next step, I took some Gator Hide by Dixie Belle, which is just a clear sealant, and I went over everything once the paint was dry, just to kind of seal it up, which we're gonna need for the next step. And I'm just making sure to get everything with this coat, which is going to be important because after this step we're gonna cover it all with white paint. So this is White Swan from DIY Paint. They're all chalk paints, so it's okay if you kind of switch it up a little bit. So I'm going to go over the whole thing with white paint. And this, of course, is after that clear coat dried. So you got to wait for that to dry and then apply the white paint. Here's where the fun comes in. So now this paint is dry. I did not seal the white paint. I sealed everything underneath it, but I did not seal the white. So this is going to allow us to wet distress. If you saw my other video that I did with mason jars, it's kind of the same technique. So I'm just using baby wipes for this. And I'm just lightly rubbing all those high points and getting that white paint off. And that is bringing all the color from underneath that we sealed to the surface. You want to take your time with this too. You don't want to rush it. All those colors coming through. And then because of the baby wipes, when I was rubbing, some of the liquid, squeezed out from those baby wipes. So I did take a paper towel then, and I would blot over it. This would also get off any of the smeared paint from the baby wipes. And then now I'm kind of doing the background. So I want to go against the grain. I'm going to get down to that wood a little bit faster when I do it that way. And then I kind of end up just going all over the place, all directions with it. And then you just keep doing this until you decide that that you like it. You don't have to do as much distressing. You can do more than what I did. It's completely fine. You have to be happy with it. And once I distressed it the way I wanted it, this is what it looked like. I did take some clear coat, just spray paint, just some clear matte finish spray paint, and I spray painted over the entire thing. And that just seals that white on, so then that white won't come off. And then the rest of these are just still shots and close-ups of how it looks. And that's all I got for you. I hope you guys enjoyed this video.